This is the SF Productions Podcast Network.
We've got the cord, and you can too.
From the Pop Culture Bunker, I'm Mindy.
And I'm Mark. You can check out our audio podcast, How I Got My Wife to Read Comics, on iTunes, and on our website, sfpodcastnetwork.com. So, as we've mentioned before on the show, we dropped cable TV a few years ago, cutting the cord, as it's called.
Yes.
You know, because you can get a decent antenna, and you can pull in local stations, and there's various options to get a non-cable-based DVR.
Yes.
Plus, you have internet TV, which used to mean just old TV shows and whatever Hulu had from this year's crop.
Right. You could watch, basically DVDs, but streaming.
Yeah, right.
So.
But now, there's this vast array of original programming.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix has proven that you can make original programming work outside the broadcast cable system.
Right.
Yeah, to the point where House of Cards just got 13 Emmy nominations. Orange is the New Black got 12.
Yeah, and we actually tried watching both of those. I wasn't that fond of either one of them, but they certainly opened the door for other programming.
Right. And then Arrested Development's fourth season that they moved to Netflix got 3 nominations last year.
And that it does point out one thing that Netflix has been doing, which is in addition to original program, they're picking up things from other networks.
Right, yeah. But there's also some truly original programming. Well, some and some not. There's Lilyhammer, which is about this gangster in witness protection, and he starts a new life in Norway.
Which is actually not really original, picked up from Norwegian TV, but the second season, I think, is more Netflix originated.
There's Hemlock Grove, which is this horror series. There's, and this is just coming on now, BoJack Horseman, an animated comedy with the voice of Will Arnett as a washed-up horse actor. So it's the idea that it's the regular world, except the animal actors that you see in TV shows and movies actually can talk.
Right. Now, that has promise, but the thing I find with animated comedies on some of these things is that they're really disgusting humor.
Because there's no limits, that they would normally have on broadcast, and they just kind of sometimes go off the deep end there. And
to keep talking about things that are just starting or coming up, there's a whole Marvel slate that Netflix is going to be working on.
Right.
Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, all leading up to the Defenders. And that's going to actually be a movie, not a series.
Right.
So the first 4 are series, the last one's a movie. And then I also noticed as I was looking at this that they have a couple other original kind of animated series. One of them is Ever After High. And that it was just like, it's like a Saturday morning cartoon from when we were kids that's selling you toys. It's like selling the Ever After dolls. And they also have a How to Train Your Dragon spin-off, DreamWorks Dragons. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Right, because Netflix has a deal with DreamWorks, and that's how that's working.
Yeah.
Now, Hulu is keeping pace on the original shows as well. They have Misfits, which is a British sci-fi superheroes, and you'll hear British a lot with Hulu.
Yeah. They have an agreement with BBC.
Right.
And actually to show a lot of their back catalog as well. So, we've often talked about the fact that we pay to get into that BBC back catalog, and that is exactly what Netflix did. They don't put it all out there at once, but show by show.
Right.
Now, the thing that I'm looking forward to watching is Deadbeat with Tyler Labine. He was on Reaper,
yeah,
and a bunch of other canceled programs.
Yes.
But it's basically a supernatural program where he sees ghosts.
Right.
And then speaking of British shows, there's Moon Boy and Rev that are both in that partnership with the BBC. That's a lot like the partnership that Masterpiece has with the BBC, where they kind of get together to make shows and then put them on.
Right. Then there's, and this is just starting, I believe, The Hot Wives of Orlando, which is a reality show parody.
Yes, and I've read, actually, if you like the Housewives at all, you'll love this show.
There's The Awesomes, which is an animated superhero show from Lorne Michaels' production company, and there's a lot of people from SNL involved with it.
And that's really cute.
It's a really cute show. We've watched probably half of the first season so far. The second season just started. There's Quick Draw, which looks like a raunchy Western comedy, which really not our taste, at least not my taste. And yeah, so we haven't, but that's the one thing. If there's a show that Hulu wants you to see and you're watching Hulu, you'll see a lot of ads for it.
A lot of ads for it.
Now, Amazon has joined the race as well. They've opened their own studio. I don't really know what that means. I think that's just attorney paperwork than an actual studio to produce shows. Now, you do need Amazon Prime in order to see these shows.
To see them for free.
To see them for free.
Pay for them if you...
Right. And Amazon Prime, if you buy more than a couple things a month from Amazon, it's probably worth investing in Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So they're doing a different way of this. They have a pilot season where you can vote on shows to move on to series. So they put the pilot out there. They give you like 30 days or so to watch it and then vote. And the ones that do the best are considered for series.
Right. And so last year we talked about this on another episode, just particularly the Amazon series. And I know we talked about Alpha House and Betas.
Right. And both of those made it to series. So Alpha House is about Congressman in Washington, John Goodman stars. Beta is a sitcom about software developers. Mm-hmm. And then in addition to that, there's some newer shows coming on. Transparent, and I just read about this week. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Tambor from Arrested Development as a transgender dad.
Right.
There's Bosch, which is a police procedural.
It's based on Michael Connelly book series.
Right. So hopefully it doesn't fall into the police procedural tropes.
Well, I imagine
broadcast
it will.
does.
But it might not. You never know.
There's also The After, which is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi series about to start.
And I'd probably watch more of these if it wasn't such a clunky interface on Amazon. It's really hard to go. You can't just sit there and watch episode. You have to go back to the menu every time, and there's no way to set up a queue, at least that I found. It's very hard to watch. And unless you have something like an Amazon Fire, you can't, it's as far as I know, there's not a video player for Android. Right. Amazon Fire, which is Android, you can have it there, but not on regular Android. Yeah. And so that kind of cuts out a bit of the audience. Yeah. Now, if you don't want to pay for any of those, there's always YouTube. Yes. Which is not just cat videos anymore. Although there are still good cat videos. Yes. They've introduced these channels for production companies, and at one point, they were pouring a ton of money into these production companies, most of which never went anywhere. Well, and they still may be. One thing about YouTube, though, is that you don't have the push, like, here's our new series that you get on everything else. Right. So you actually have to actively go looking for things on YouTube. Exactly. And the shows are much shorter, generally. They're like 5-10 minutes, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. There's a few channels we particularly like. There's Geek and Sundry, which is Felicia Day's production company, which, by the way, was just purchased by Legendary Pictures. Oh, wow. Like, just this past month. As you would expect, they're kind of geeky-based shows. There's Tabletop, where they play board games. There's Co-optitude, where they play classic video games. There's Talking Comics Weekly, which is kind of similar to the show we do. Yeah. There's Spooked, which is a ghost hunter comedy that just started. Mm-hmm. Then there's Cooking with Dog channel. Now, it's not what you think. It's a cooking show with a Japanese host, with English subtitles and a voiceover, while a dog sits quietly beside her as she's making the food. It's actually really cute. It's very cute. And it's like a 5-minute cooking show. Yeah. There's How It Should Have Ended, which is a set of animated short videos about how movies could have been better. And they're very funny. Yeah. And there's actually a number of channels that do similar things to that are pretty good. There's companies that remake trailers, true trailers or something, How It Should Be. Right. My favorite channel probably is the Comediva channel, which is a group of comedians who do, they say feminist comic, but I think it's more female-based comics. And my favorite show that they do is Banff Girls, which is a spoof of badass female heroines, Katniss, Suki, Michonne, Hermione, Bella, and Buffy, all living together in a Big Brother-type house. Right. It is just hilarious, and these girls do a spot-on job with these characters. It is so fun. Mm-hmm. And another one, little 4-minute or less episodes is Call Me Ishmael, which has been showing up a lot on Facebook. I don't know if you've seen that. But basically, it's this guy has set up a phone line where people call in and talk about books that have affected them or that have special meaning for them. And then this guy types them up, and he scrolls them through a typewriter, and it just shows the message being typed out as the person explains what the book means to them.
Oh.
It's really neat, and there's a whole variety of books and people affected by them. I really like that, and it's once or twice a week. It's really good. I think it may be even every day. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, of course, many of the most popular channels on YouTube are dedicated to musicians and their videos. And that's pretty much taken over a lot of YouTube.
And then also the thing that you can find on YouTube, and there's a lot of specific channels, is how-to videos.
Right. Yeah, the things where it used to be instructional books that you'd get with a product. They're just like, just go to our YouTube channel and we'll tell you how to do it.
I buy a new craft tool, like a silhouette cutter or something, and you can actually go, and there's episodes of shows on how to do things.
Right.
It's like you were watching PBS and a sewing program or something.
But just a very specific thing in that case.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's also videos of people playing video games, which has now morphed into Twitch, which is live streaming video of people playing video games.
Woohoo!
This was just snapped up by Amazon for $1 billion.
Yeah, and in spite of what you say, I just don't understand.
Well, so the question is why is this? So if you remember the great video arcades of the 80s, to me, that's why. Because back then, you'd be waiting for somebody to finish a game, or you'd be watching somebody who was really good at a game, and you stick a quarter by it to reserve the game while you watch them play, and you'd get tips as to how to get past things.
I suppose that's true, yeah.
But now you have these movie quality stories and graphics. It's like watching a movie, except that there's one person on the other end is controlling the movie, and that there's consequence. I mean, if it's Bob Jones, Archaeologist, the movie, Bob is not going to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
But in this Twitch, if you're watching a video game, the guy could get killed while he's playing.
Yeah.
So there's actual consequences going on.
Well, virtual
consequences. And Twitch is actually getting better primetime ratings than MSNBC, E, and CNN.
Amazing.
Yeah. There's just so much to watch on the internet. Why would you go back to cable? I don't get it.
Because you just can't give up watching. I can't think of a thing.
Exactly.
So, if you give up watching TV, you can listen to our audio podcast, How I Got My Wife to Read Comics, on iTunes or on our website, sfpodcastnetwork.com. From the Pop Culture Bunker, I'm Mindy.
And I'm Mark. Thanks for watching.